5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let them go. And it looks like the 16B wanted to get out there in a big hurry. That was Andy Williams out of Nelsonville. And it looks like the mishmash of lawnmowers has begun. And already the 88B has quite a bit of smoke pouring off the engine of that. I don't know how much farther he's going to make it, but as long as he keeps moving, that's the name of the game. Again, I'm not sure who's driving the 88B right now. It looks like he's taking a close look at the front end of his vehicle. I believe the 88B was one of the late entries. I think when I was in traffic, he was running up toward the fairgrounds here, and that was a pretty good clip from the number 37 up there on the high side of the track. He was going along pretty well, making his way down through there on the 323. That was Sean Hurst out of Logan. Now he's going to bring him in here, and my goodness gracious, he's going to stack him up pretty deep. He's put a pretty good hit on the number 829, who does seem to be out of contention. He's already taken himself out. Looks like we've got him dropping like flies. Got a few of them already down, but the number 13J looks like he's kind of twisting around a little bit, but he's still making contact. And my goodness gracious, what a quick exit that was. Looks like the number 915 made her off of there just fine, but that was Chris Miller out of Gloucester doing a little bit of fancy foot. Green flag is flying once again. Some of these guys have put some serious, I'd say the number 323 may be trying to get that hardest hit. Bonus of $50 that was sponsored by H&H Miller Small Engines. And there's a pretty good nose-to-nose hit from the 411C, Derek Coleman. Going nose-to-nose with the number 3W of Seth Waldron out of Albany. And there we got a whole lot of track coming up. These guys definitely taking advantage of it. That was a 411C yet again, Derek Coleman out of Rushville. And he's going to take her down to the far end and use as much real estate as he can. Find his next victim down through there. Looks like he's just going to take the scenic route this time to finally make contact with the number 323. And it looks like some of those hard hits may have finally come into there. The 119 coming in on his own. That was Waylon Leonard out of Logan, sponsored by H&H Miller Small Engine Repair. And I believe the number 3W, Seth Waldron out of Albany's hopping off of his iron chariot. And a hit from behind from the 411C of Derek Coleman out of Rushville. And goodness gracious, I'll tell you, he's going to feel that one tomorrow. The 119 came in with a stealth attack. That was Waylon Leonard out of Logan. Got a little bit of a hood scoop on the front of that one. It looks like we are down to 3 of them on the one end, and the fourth one down there going in circles. He's had a rough way to go. But early on, the number 323 was doing a heck of a good job, and I believe he is now out of contention since he did not make contact in the allotted time. That was Sean Hurst, and these guys are definitely, I'd say it looks like, right now they're down to 3 of them. I think the referee's telling them we still got one more in contention to kind of share the wealth. And so they head down the track toward the 1014. That's Jennifer Bateman out of Millfield. And Jennifer's held her own. She's throwing her hands up. Must have something going on in this linkage for the transmission. Jennifer exiting her ride, but she held strong out there. That was for sure. It was some rough riding in the early going. Now we are down to just 2, which is the 119 of Waylon Leonard out of Logan. And the 411C, Derek Coleman out of Rushville, sponsored by St. Clair Form. And now it looks like a little bit of a shoving match out there to see which one had the better traction. And I'd say the 119 of Waylon Leonard definitely has some speed. He's going to go out and possibly take a victory lap, because I do believe that the 119 of Waylon Leonard is going to be crowned the winner. He's driving here out of Logan, and he is sponsored by H&H Miller Small Engine Repair. How many did you do it? I'm not real sure. Not bad. How about yourself? We're back and forth with the esteemed panel of judges picking the hardest hit out of that particular heat. And it looks like the number 323, Sean Hurst out of Logan. He was on that yellow tractor, ended up breaking the front end Or he wasn't able to steer, kind of put himself out through there. But the 323, Sean Hurst out of Logan, will be the recipient of the hardest hit. First place again was Waylon Leonard out of Logan, sponsored by H&H Miller Small Engine Repair. Derek Coleman in the 411C out of Rushville, sponsored by St. Clair Forms, came in second. And the third place, who went out there at the very last, was the 1014 of Jennifer Bateman out of Millfield. So congratulations to all those drivers. Again, onto the track. First one on here is going to be Will Rexroad out of Coolville in the number 63. Following him is going to be the number 48, Bill Gould out of Athens. Coming in from the side is going to be the number 327, Carter Smith out of Patriot, sponsored by King Cutter 2. Here comes the number 22M, Bill Miller out of Chansey, sponsored by Curtis Towing. Following him is going to be the number 94M, Dakota Mash out of Athens. The number 17G, Terry Gilkey, also out of Athens, sponsored by the Roundabout. The number 17H, Cody Hudnall out of Athens, sponsored by Dan Sickles and the Lucky Dog. There's Daniel Welch out of Coolville in the I-81, sponsored by Lipiton Petroleum, the number X911X. Joey Dotson out of the Plains, sponsored by his mom and dad. The number 3D, Todd Danner out of Athens, sponsored by the Athens News. Still got a couple more coming in. Looks like we do have. Looks like the number 11X, Tony Miller out of Gloucester, sponsored by Williams Customs. Millfield, sponsored by Klaus Motorsports. And it looks like Bobby Anderson snuck in the U81 out of Guysville, sponsored by Grath Paint and Body. Looks like we are going to get, hopefully that's a 3M coming on, which it is. Joe Moran out of Nelsonville, sponsored by the Kaiser Barbecue Shack. And it looks like that is going to round out our field of cars in Heat 1 of the Minis. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let them go, and the action's now underway in the automobile part of the Smash It, Trash It, Tear 'em Up Automobile Demolition Derby at your 2010 Athens County Fair. And look at them piling up the whole west end of the track, opening wide up. Here comes the number 63, Will Rexroad out of Coolville, kind of swinging in at a fairly high rate of speed. They're all jamming in the I-81. Bobby Anderson out of Guysville, nosing his way into the middle of the track. He's door to door with the number 3D of Todd Danner out of Athens, sponsored by the Athens News. The number 98 coming in, swinging his machine around. Kenny Klaus out of a Millfield in that lime green automobile. Looks like they're pushing their way around as the buzz bombs of the mini cars are underway. And are they ever? The number 327, Carter Smith out of Patriot, sponsored by King Cutter 2, is making his way down to the far end. We're going to give one of the drivers a warning about watching out for the driver's door. Now the driver's door is the one safety belt these guys have. Any deliberate hit will result in a driver possibly definitely getting kicked out. Looks like we have a heck of a lot of fluid coming out of the number 94M. That's Dakota Mag out of Athens. I believe all the coolant has pretty well drained out of the 94M. Definitely going to start getting warm. But he's got the hammer down and he's getting pushed around by the number 11X of Tony Miller, sponsored by William Custom. The number 48 up by the grandstand. Bill Gould out of Athens running strong. The Buzz Bombs definitely living up to their name out here as there is a mass of noise out on that track, and the number 48 adding to it as he comes down at a very fast clip. He's going into the side of the number 94M of Dakota Mag, who noses down into the side of the 63 of the Will Rex Road out of Coolville. And the 8911X, Joey Dotson out of the Flames. He's kind of at track central, kind of doing a bit of a reverse rollout, nosing into the 17/8 of Cody Hutnell out of Athens. Coming to a dead stop, but look out, the 17G, Terry Gilkey out of Athens, definitely on the move, coming down the track at a high rate of speed and making some hard bumper-to-bumper contact as he pushes these guys right out of the way, flips this car around, and tries to put a little real estate in between him and the rest of the pack with the 11X not far behind. Tony Miller out of Gloucester going down, readjusting his goggles and heading back into the heat of battle, followed closely by the number 98 of Kenny Klaus out of Millfield, sponsored by Klaus Motorsports. And they're definitely packing the 10 into the corner down there, the number 3D, sponsored by the Athens News. The one on the outside, that's Todd Danner, side by side with the number 94M, Dakota Mag, and it looks like after losing all the coolant out of the 94M, it pretty well did that automobile in as Dakota removes the flag from the doorpost, ultimately taking himself out of contention. Will Rex Road out of Coolville is in the bottom of one of the major clouds of smoke. He is in that purplish automobile, the number 63. I believe that's Terry Gilkey. And the number 17G, who's in one of the others, the X911X. Joey Dotson definitely heating up. I'd say he's got some problems as he removes the flag from the doorpost of Joey Dotson. Evening has come to an abrupt end. Looks like a lot of this, some of the drivers having some problems in the powertrain of this vehicle. The number 63, Will Rex Road out of Coolville, having a little bit of problem. He's got her running. He's just not able to get any of that horsepower to hook up down to the ground. The 17G, Terry Gilkey, right in front of the grandstand and out of the red. The 17G trying to make his way through there. But it appears that he's got some problems as well. He's definitely got a flat tire on the front passenger side. That rim's spinning pretty fast in there. He's just not able to get that horsepower locked down. And as that rim spins inside the tire, he's creating one heck of a lot of smoke. The number 98 down at the other end, Kenny Klaus out of Millfield. And the number 98 kind of noses into the number 3D, Todd Danner out of Athens. And it looks like the number 63, Will Rex Road out of Coolville, is kind of taking himself out. Flag, I believe, that moved off the doorpost to the number 63. He was having technical difficulties with that just a few moments ago. The number 17G, Terry Gilkey out of Athens, still moving along, as is the number 48 of Bill Gould, of the 17G. Making his way into the action, the number 327. That's Carter Smith out of Patriot. He's kind of working in the middle of the track, back to back and bumper to bumper with Bill Gould in the number 48. The U81 coming back into the swing is Bobby Anderson out of Guysville. Like 7 vehicles are currently running. And the 17G definitely seems to be getting a little bit on the tired side. Terry Gilkey's machine definitely hot. But he's able to get some good traction that time. The only problem was the number 3D kind of snuck up on it and stopped all of the momentum that he had. That was Todd Danner out of Athens. These guys kind of running side to side, and here comes the 98 one to join in on the fun. Kenny Klaus out of Millfield. It looks like tires are one of the big things that these guys are struggling with right now because we've got quite a bit of them that are pretty well flat. Definitely slowing these guys down, not helping out their situation whatsoever. But the 327, I don't believe he's one of them that's having any kind of problem. Carter Smith out of Patriot, definitely running strong. And 327. Continuing his onslaught of hits. Gunning once again, or trying to, for the number 48. But Bill Gould was able to get back in just in the nick of time. The number 11X. Going down to the far end of the track, Tony Miller out of Gloucester. And I believe 17G might be seeing the beginning of the end unless he's able to get hooked up on the ground a little bit better. Usually those empty rims not doing a whole lot of good for the driver inside. The U81. Bobby Anderson out of Guysville. Swinging in with a little bump from the 11X of Tony Miller. Kenny Klaus still running strong in that lime green number 98. He's down at the western end. They're going to travel over there and go nose to nose with the 17G of Terry Gilkey out of Athens. Looks like we do have about 6 automobiles currently running at this present time. And I'll tell you, these cars definitely running strong here in the later going of Heat 1 of the mini car event. And it looks like the U81 getting a little bit of a rise out there as he took a shot from the 327. That was Carter Smith coming in there, and it looks like he completely knocked the coil spring out of the U81, driven by Bobby Anderson out of Guysville, sponsored by Grass Paint and Body. Making a breakaway is the number 3D, Todd Danner, getting a bit of a running start as he goes back-to-back with Tony Miller in the 11X. Number 48 still running well, considering he doesn't have a whole lot left in the rear of that machine. Definitely getting slowed up by his own rear tires, which right at this moment in time are being kind of acting like a boat anchor behind the number 48. And doggone it, I think that is going to take Bill Gould out in the number 48 as he removes the flag from his doorpost. Five automobiles still left running. Five of them battling it out for the top three spots. It looks like the 11X, Tony Miller, a little bit busy as he's trying to press the automobile of Bobby Anderson up on. We're down to 4 vehicles right now because the U81 has removed himself from the competition, taking himself out, removing the flag from the door post. We are down to 4 vehicles, 4 of them left running. Those are at track center as we speak. Those include the number 11X of Tony Miller, the number 327 of Carter Smith out of Patriots, going back to back with the number 3D Todd Denner out of Athens, sponsored by the Athens News. And finally, Kenny Klaus out of Millfield, sponsored by Klaus Motorsports. Hold him up. Hold him up. They're ready to turn them loose and let them go, getting the action back underway, running the final 4 vehicles down to see who will be the final 3 moving along, and it looks like things may not be so well for Todd Denner in the 3D. He's got an awful lot of fluid up in underneath that machine. He's trying to get her refired, but as of right now, it doesn't look like he's having a whole lot of luck. 3 running machines made the breakaway, heading down to the far end of the track. That's Carter Smith in the 327, Kenny Klaus in the number 98, and Tony Miller in the 11X. Again, right now we do have Todd Denner on the 3D on the clock. The referee's keeping a close eye. But the 98's definitely not letting up, even though he is on the clock, trying to get it refired and running once again. The 98 keeps hammering away, giving a barrage of hits from that lime green machine into the number 3D of Todd Denner. And that's going to be it, folks, right there. That is going to end it here in Heat 1 of the mini cars. Getting the checkered flag is going to be Tony Miller out of Gloucester in the number 11X, sponsored by Williams Custom. The number 327, Carter Smith out of Patriot, sponsored by King Cutter 2. And finally, the number 98, Kenny Klaus out of Millfield, sponsored by Klaus Motorsports. Congratulations to all those drivers, and we will be seeing them back in the mini car feature event coming up. Looks like we are ready to bring in heat number 1 of the big cars. Leading the way is going to be the number 33X, Ben Simmons out of New Marshville, sponsored by the New Marshville Speed Shop. Here comes the 8UP, William Barnhart out of Athens, sponsored by the Gravelback Garage. The number 36D, Keith Douglas out of Shade, sponsored by Bob Evans. The number 440, Stephen Young out of Athens, sponsored by Bob Young Plumbing. Number 69, Mike Brooks out of Guysville, sponsored by Sink and Ink Tattoo. The number 911, Joe DeShong out of Athens. I had the number 911 scratched off of my sheet for some reason. The 111, Jimmy Bateman out of Millfield, sponsored by Bateman Refuse and Hauling. The 771, Tim Coy out of the Plains, sponsored by Landock. And the number 99Y, Tommy Young out of the Plains, sponsored by Dave Williams in that yellow automobile. With 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let 'em action's underway here in the big car event number 1. Everybody kind of taking her somewhat slow off the starting line. Nobody wants to be the first one to hang their nose out there and leave that vulnerable radiator out there to get smashed by one of the other hungry opponents. My goodness. That was one heck of a hard hit, but it looks like the number 99Y, Tommy Young, got hit in the rear door. It was on the driver's side, but it wasn't in the driver's door. It was in the rear door on the driver's side. So that is a legal hit. Definitely an attention getter, as a given from the number 69 of Mike Brooks out of Guysville. Number 771, Tom Coy out of the Plains. Not too hard to find out there. And already the 111, Jimmy Bateman out of Millfield has quite a bit of coolant. I think that was a rough hit. It was just taken by the number 911 of Joe DeShong out of Athens. I think that completely broke the front tie rod. He kind of got the Malachi crunch out there a little bit earlier on. And parts are just a-flying. That was the 8UP coming around of a Wayne Barnhart out of Athens. Making his way down through the pack is the 99Y of Tommy Young. And still runs strong is going to be Ben Simmons in the number 33X out of New Marshville. Sponsored by the New Marshville Speed Shop. And right now, I think the 440 of Stephen Young is kind of sitting, looking around, and I think he would rather be about anywhere else than sitting right there in a vehicle that's currently not running, trying to get the attention of the other drivers to let them know that the 440 is out of contention right now. Joe DeShong in the number 911, punching his way up through there. Trying to work his way down to the other end where the 69 of Mike Brooks out of Guysville is lined up side by side with the number 36D of Keith Douglas out of Shade. And I don't think that did anything well for at least one of the vehicles, and they're stacking them up 4 deep. The last one to make contact was Keith Douglas, following Mike Brooks in the 69, who shoved the 33X of Ben Simmons a little bit further into the engine compartment of Joe DeShong in the number 911. You can see there's not a whole lot left of that engine compartment on the 911. These large cars definitely have quite a bit of a different sound to them. I don't think that is exactly where one would like to be. But Keith Douglas, I think he might have done some serious damage as he went up and got high centered on that concrete barricade. Looks like we are down to about 4 vehicles. The number 911 just removing his flag from the doorpost. The number 69, Mike Brooks, still running strong, trying to find a gear. The 33X of Ben Simmons. Going to let him know that he's not far behind. Tom Coy out of the Plains in the number 771, and Wayne Barnhart out of Athens in the number 8UP. The number 69 definitely sitting sideways, and I don't think that's a good place to be sitting with this group of fellows that he's out there currently running with. Because right now you can see the number 69 staring at a whole lot of rear bumpers, and he's getting chased down, and they smell weakness. I'm not sure what's going on with the 69, but anytime somebody's not moving real fast, they usually zero in. Right there's the number. That's going to be it. Doggone it. We can see the drive shaft laying underneath the number 33X, taking Ben Simmons out of the race. He was doing a pretty good job out there, but that's going to be the end. There's Ben Simmons climbing out of the number 33X. He drove one heck of a derby, but going on is going to be the number 8 UP, Wayne Barnhart out of Athens, sponsored by the Gravelback Garage. Also taking the checkered flag is going to be the number 69 of Mike Brooks out of Guysville, sponsored by Sink and Ink Tattoo. And the number 711, Tim Coy out of the Plains, sponsored by Land Rocks. Congratulations to those three drivers that will be moving on to the large car feature event. Mini car. He's here out of Guysville, sponsored by Gold Motor Sports. The number 767 is Howard Miller out of Gloucester, sponsored by H&H Miller Small Engine. The number J1, Josh Cohen out of Nelsonville, sponsored by Muffler Express. Dustin Buckley is in the 99B out of Gloucester, sponsored by Huddle Tire and Richland Auto Parts. The 444, Frank Hook out of Morgan County, sponsored by Moorestown Auto Repair. The 110, Joseph Skurlocks out of Millfield. The number 01, Dale Sinclair out of Athens, sponsored by Curtis Auto Repair. The number 17J, Jason McDaniels out of the Plains, sponsored by Huddle Tire. And the number 23M, Tom McDaniel out of Nelsonville, sponsored by Richland Avenue Auto and Muffler. The 00, Dustin Crabtree's here out of Jackson, sponsored by Randy Evans Construction. The number 43B, Stanley Bennett out of Nelsonville, sponsored by Jack Ellis. Coming in and swinging around. Following him is going to be the number 24X, Rod Brown out of Wellston, sponsored by Trade. And it looks like the 767, Trevor Mash out of Athens, coming on the track in the 767. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, let them go! And it looks like heat number 2 of the Crash It, Smash It, Tear 'em Up Automobile Demolition Derby is now underway. It looks like the number 110, Joseph Skurlock out of Millfield, was kind of the first one to make his way back and make contact. And look at that, the number J1 of Josh Cohen going back to back and bumper to bumper with the number 767 of Howard Miller. And hold him up. That was one heck of a hit taken by. And there's the green, and we're ready to turn them loose and let them go, getting the action back underway here in heat number 2 of the Buzz Bomb heat. And look at the 17J flying down the track at a fairly high clip. That's Jason McDaniels out of the plane. He's working the grandstand side of the track, going side by side with Dale Sinclair in the number 01. Oh my goodness, look at there. Hold them up, hold flags are flying. They're ready to turn them loose and let them go. And I'll tell you what, these mini cars, oh my goodness. He's got her back down to 17J. Jason McDaniel. I think he's definitely got that rear bumper set up just a little bit on the height compared to the front bumpers of these other mini cars. This is going to be a good hit, folks. Because the 24X of Rod Brown out of Wellston just put one heck of a hit on Dale Sinclair in the 0-1. Coming him down to that corner, 99B, Dustin Buckley out of Gloucester, going down, spinning it around side by side with the 0-1. Choosing his next target. Looks like he's going to have to thread the needle as he makes his way back into the number 3M. Excuse me, that was the 23M of Tom McDaniel out of Nelsonville. And there comes Rod Brown down the track yet again. He's going into his mark of Josh Cohen. And what do you know, Jason McDaniels in the 17J. I'm thinking he may not have much braking left upon that 17J. And I think with a little bit of help from the number 99B of Dustin Buckley, they just kind of packed themselves down into the corner right there. But the 23M on the breakaway, Tom McDaniel out of Nelsonville, has the whole track. And he's taking advantage and using every bit of it that he can. Right now he's got his eyes set on the number 0-1. And I'll tell you folks, Dale Sinclair out of Athens has had one rough night. And it looks like it's going to be getting a little bit rougher as the number 00 of Dustin Crabtree out of Jackson comes in. Rod Brown in the 24X going into the back of the number 767. Dustin Crabtree spinning it around, and the number 4B coming into the picture, Brian Gould out of Guysville. Josh Cohen in the J1 going down to the far end. The 00 hammer down Dustin Crabtree over into the 767. I believe that's Howard Miller out of Gloucester in that 767. But we did have two of them. Trevor Mash was the other one. Looks like emerging from his vehicle, the driver of the 17J, Jason McDaniel. Will be exiting the track. You can definitely tell that the Buzz Bombs are back in action here in the heat number 2 of the small cars. And right now, the 00 taking no enemies. That's Dustin Crabtree in that 00, kind of mixing it up out there with the number 4B, driven by Brian Gould out of Guysville. Looks like the 00 having a little bit of technical issues on the front end. Right now, I'm not sure what's left on the drive train of that machine. The 00 just doesn't seem like he's able to get it in gear. Hopefully Dustin's going to be able to find a gear. Hold him up, hold him up. Like the green flags are up, we're ready to turn them loose and let them go. Getting the action back underway. I'm currently seeing movement out of 5 vehicles, 5 of them battling it out for the top 3 spots. Moving in to the feature event in the mini car class. Number J1, Josh Cohen, into the nose of the 767, which I believe is Howard Miller out of Gloucester. 23M on the move, Tom McDaniel out of Nelsonville. He's very easy to find in that bright orange automobile. 24X, Rod Brown still moving strong in that little Pinto wagon, I believe it is. Like he's got a flat tire on the back of it, but he's got her in gear and heading back down to the track. He's momentarily stalled out, but the 4B, Brian Gould, on the move right now, and it looks like the 24X slowing down just before making contact with the driver's door of the 23M. In the driver's door is the one safety zone these guys have, and they do have to keep a pretty close eye on it, especially on these small cars. There's just not enough metal, and things are a lot tighter, definitely a lot easier. Wow, that 23M jumps up in the air, did a little bit of a dance back on all four wheels, and away he goes. Tom McDaniel going for a wild ride. He noses into the 767. And I'm sure that is Howard Miller. The 767 that's still running. We had two 767. Trevor Madge was in the other one. I believe Trevor had a gas leak on that kind of teal colored 767 down at the west end of the track. And we are left with the 5 vehicles left running. I'll tell you folks, these little cars, that is one heck of a hit from the J1 of Josh Cohen into the back of a Howard Miller's number 767. That rear seat kind of went back. Luckily he had that crossbar. I'll tell you, I don't know the way that seat went back. It may have just snapped it all the way off had that bar not been there. It looks like that might have done some damage to Howard's automobile. He's looking around. I believe he may be in spectator mode right now, so we might just be down to 4 vehicles left running. But the J1 of Josh Cohen going back to back with the 23M of Tom McDaniel. Right now the 24X is on the move. Rod Brown out of Wellston, sponsored by John Bisell and Trade. Still running, and the 4B, Brian Gould out of Guysville, sponsored by Gould Motorsport. He's trying to angle his way around. Looks like he's having a little bit of technical difficulty, and speaking of that, I think the J1's finding himself in quite a pickle down there. He's kind of sitting crossways in between the 767 and that concrete barricade. I think he's going to have to just kind of muscle his way out of there. It looks like he's making some pretty good headway as he's shoving. Hey, he's got a little bit of running room now, and Josh Cohen back underway and on the move. Uh-oh, the number 4B, Brian Gould. Definitely kind of hung up down there, and I don't think that's where he's wanting to go. He's kind of taking a look down the track, deciding whether he wants to keep going, and doggone it. The number 4B just took himself out. He folded his flag down, believe taking himself out of contention. Took his flag off. Which means the number 23M, Tom McDaniel, out of Nelsonville, sponsored by Richland Avenue Auto and Muffler Express, is going to the feature event, along with the number 24X, Rod Brown, out of Wellston, and the J1 of Josh Cohen out of Nelsonville, sponsored by the Muffler Express. Congratulations to all the drivers in minicar heat number 2.
Okay, looks like Keith Taylor coming off the track for number 600. He's here out of the plant sponsored by Auto, following him to 2917. Kenny West out of Athens, sponsored by Advanced Seamless Gutter. Number 39B, Justin Johnson out of Athens, sponsored by sponsored by Land.Use. Ricky McCune is in the number 26X out of New Marshfield.
Sponsored by the Gutter Man. The number 117, Roger Rafferty out of Wellston, sponsored by the Montgomery Machine Shop. Like Jeff Adams in the number 262. Bringing the outer belt around. Looks like they locked him out of the one end already, so. Now we did have the 911 signed up for this heat, but he was over in. Especially mini cars, you're going to need to act fast. Mini cars need to act fast. We are going to be running a consolation, but you need to get your repairs made because the mini car consi is going to be coming on right after the big car heat number 2, which is just getting ready to start. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let them go, and the action's underway in big car heat number 2 right now. These guys jockeying around for position, and the number 600 Keith Taylor out of the plane, smashing into the nose of the 0509 Jason Benton out of Athens. The 2917 Kenny West. Looks like he's got him a fresh wagon out there. That thing does look pretty. Looks like he's got a little bit of possibly color change of paint. Can't quite tell. Might just be how he's got the stuff painted on the top. Right now, the 39B, Jeremy Johnson getting shoved over in there. He's getting a little bit of help from the 262 of Jeff Adams, putting a nice T-bone shot on Jeremy Johnson in that 39B, kind of falling him right on over. And the 0509 Jason Benton taking a shot in the nose from the number 26X Ricky McCune out of New Marshfield. And look at the sparks fly from Keith Taylor's number 600. You got that smoke just up pouring off the rear tire. Hold on to your helmet, number 600. Uh-oh, I think he says that I am done with this. And luckily, they got sidestepped by the 2917. Comes Jeremy Johnson in that 39B, kind of going to open up the middle of the track. The only problem was the 600 was out of contention. I just don't think he saw that he was out. We're taking a closer look to number 262 of Jeff Adams right now. And in comes Roger Rafferty out of Wellston. Roger kind of picked up a driver momentarily, but he was able to shake the 0509 of Jason Benton. That didn't last too long because he's no longer the shook one. Uh-oh, I think Jeremy Johnson in the 39B done tossed a drive shaft. Jeremy Johnson did lose the drive shaft and is currently out of contention. So we are down to just 4 vehicles left running. That'd be the 26X of Ricky McCune out of New Marshfield, sponsored by the Gutter Man, the 0509 Jason Benton, who just took a shot from the 26X of Ricky McCune, getting the Malachi Crunch. It's going to be the 117 of Roger Rafferty, who's here out of Wellston, sponsored by the Montgomery Machine Shop. And still in a very nice looking ride is Kenny West in that 2917, who's here out of Athens, sponsored by Advanced Seamless Gutters. Looks like the 117, Roger Rafferty, kind of going to exit stage left in a big hurry right now. 4 vehicles left running. Again, these drivers taking a good solid look at one another. Referee's telling them to break it up just a little bit, get a little bit of running room in between. The 0509 Jason Benton looks like he's stalled out. That didn't take very long. He's got that machine back running again, sponsored by Land.Use. Again, 4 vehicles battling it out for the top 3 spots. Again, if you were in a mini car and didn't make it into the feature, and you want to run in the consolation, please make your way up to the registration trailer ASAP. Get signed up because we will be running the consolation coming up next. And things not looking too good for Jason Benton. He is on the clock right now, trying his best to get the 0509 refired. Other three drivers still running strong. That's Roger Rafferty, the 117, Kenny West in the 2917, and the 26X of Ricky McCoon. And it sounds like you got a little bit of life brought back into the 0509. And hammered down. Uh-oh. Hold him up. Hold him up. Hold him up. Gonna need to lift out here. Now they are ready to go. And I think they're going to give the 26X a little bit of time to see what he can do with that, but Ricky McCoon definitely slowed up quite a bit after losing the axle out of the rear driver's side of that machine. And boy, coming out of the frying pan and into the fire, the 117 Roger Rafferty got it back on all fours. But waiting on the wings was the 2917 of Kenny West. Let's hold him up. Hold him up. That's going to be it, folks. Right there, the 26X taking himself out of contention. Due to an unfortunate set of circumstances, he lost the axle. It looks like getting the checkered flag. It's going to be Kenny West out of Athens in the 2917, sponsored by Advanced Seamless Gutter. The 0509 Jason Benton, also out of Athens, sponsored by Landit Used. And the 117 Roger Rafferty out of Wellston, sponsored by the Montgomery Machine Shop. Hey, Tim.
Car ready, everybody would like to thank. All my brothers back to hold. Just all the guys in the air. Okay, we're going to put your hands together for nothing but fast, please. It should be enough for any car. 100% trophy. Appreciate it. You guys appreciate it. Got the hardest hit trophy is going to be going to home. Any car coming on to the track.
Had a fairly decent Bill Miller. Both of those out of Athens. Curtis Towing has sponsored the 22M, and Gould Motorsports sponsored the 22B. Here comes the 17J, Jason McDaniel out of the Plains, sponsored by Richland Auto and Huddle Tire. Okay, Cody Hudnall is in the 17H out of Shade, sponsored by Lucky Dog. And the X911X, Joey Dotson out of the Plains, sponsored by his mom and dad. We do have 5 on the track now. We're expecting quite a few more. Looks like they're rolling in fairly decent. Here's looks like Howard Miller in the 767 out of Gloucester. He's sponsored by H&H Miller Small Engines. As you're walking through these dark pits, looks like the I-81 Daniel Welch out of Athens, sponsored by Lipson Petroleum, the number 444 Frank Hook out of McConnellsville, sponsored by Moorestown Auto Repair. Okay, we do have just 4 vehicles left, so please. And it looks like, I believe that's Terry Gilkey in the 17G. He's here out of Athens, sponsored by the Roundabout. Got 3 vehicles left. We got most of them on the track, and coming out in a big blaze of glory is going to be the number 110. Going to be Joseph S is all I've got written down. The 99B, Dustin Buckley out of Gloucester. And we're still waiting on one vehicle. That would be the U. Hey, can you text me? 4, 3, 2, 1, let them go! And the action is now underway here in the mini car consolation event. The number 17-8, Cody Hudnall out of shade, swinging his car around, going to head down to the far end of... Hold him up. Check on, hold him up. Jason Welch out of Athens, sponsored by Lisbon Petroleum. The number 4B also getting the wave and checkered flag. Brian Gould out of Athens, sponsored by Gould Motorsports. And the 99B, Dustin Buckley out of Gloucester, sponsored by Richland Auto and Huddle Tire. There's your 5 vehicles. Now, drivers in the large car consolation event, you're going to need to get things going about the same. Drivers in the big car consolation event, you're going to need to... Okay, looks like the 33X of Ben Simmons out of New Marshfield is going to be the first driver onto the track. Following him is going to be Jimmy Bateman in the 111 out of Millfield, sponsored by Bateman's Refuse. Here comes the number 69, Mike Brooks out of Guysville, sponsored by Sink and Ink Tattoo. And Roger Rafferty in the 117s making his way onto the track. He's here out of Wellston, sponsored by the Montgomery Machine Shop. And it looks like Jeremy Johnson was able to get that drive shaft put back up in the 39B. He's here out of Athens, sponsored by Landut. Tom Coy's here out of the Plains. He's also sponsored by Landot in the number 771. There's Kenny West in the 2917. He's here out of Athens, sponsored by Advanced Seamless Gutters. We're down to just two vehicles that we are waiting for, the 36D and the 0509. This is the final call for the 0509 and the 36D. Benton out of Athens in the 0509. He is also sponsored by Landit Used. Last call for the 36D. We've got everybody but one vehicle on the track. So your time is definitely short before they seal up the end of the track. Now, drivers of the mini cars. Well, we've got a moment. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let them go. And the action's underway here in the big car feature event. That's your 2010 Smash It, Crash It, Tear 'em Up Automobile Demolition Derby finale of the large cars, and the 771 of Tim Coy kind of getting a glancing blow off the 111 of Jimmy Bateman out of Millfield. Right now the 0509 of Jason Benton out of Athens kind of sitting in a very precarious position right now, and I don't exactly think that that's where he wants to be, but look at the 771. He's got a little bit of running room And Tom Coey goes back to make contact with not only the 111, but the 39B of Jeremy Johnson. And doggone it, Jeremy has lost that drive shaft yet again on the 39B. He has taken himself out of contention. He already popped it down there. Not exactly sure what's going on with that machine. We got a little bit of trouble right now. Looks like the number 33X of Ben Simmons is momentarily parked up on the nose of the 117, driven by Roger Rafferty out of Wellston. And a good back-to-back hit between the 29-17 of Kenny West and the 111 of Jimmy Bateman. And what a hit between the 771. Tom Coey, boy, he has been making some awesome hits out there. That particular time, his sights were set on Mike Brooks in that number 69. Looks like we've got some drivers having some technical difficulties all over the place right now. I see three of them momentarily stalled out, and the 117, Roger Rafferty, unleashing his machine on the nose of the 29-17 of Kenny West. That was a very nice, fresh wagon. Still looks like it's doing pretty well here. But I'd say the 117 has unleashed the horses. And Roger Rafferty once again has his sights set. Oh my goodness, hold him up. Hold him up, hold him up. Hold him up, hold him up. Fuel that's leaking just a little bit. Yeah. And that was the Richmond flags are flying and running around, and it looks like we are down to 4 vehicles running right now. 4 of them left running. And the 771. Tom Coey going back to back with Roger Rafferty in the 117. Not to be left out, Kenny West in the 29-17 coming back in, and the 33X driven by Ben Simmons. And the 771 is back on the move, and we're stacking them in, folks. I think that left a little bit of a mark on the number 33X. Ben Simmons took a hit right in the back door. And these guys got a little bit of a grudge match, I believe. I'm not quite sure, but they got a little bouncing and wobbling and bobbling going on as the 117 comes in through there. Roger Rafferty taking a heck of a hit from the 29-17 of Kenny West. And right now, again, they're going to have to watch out for the driver's door, which is one of the reasons you see that they did kind of. And I think we got a loose rear end on that number 117. And there goes one of the drivers out of his vehicle. Good drive by Ben Simmons, the 33X, but Ben has removed the flag from his doorpost, taking himself out of contention. Right now, the 771 looks like they are down to 2. The 771 is going to go home with 3rd place. Right now, the 117 of Roger Rafferty trying to get his vehicle refired. He's just doesn't have a whole lot left. Okay, hold him up. Hold him up, hold him up. The 771's already 3rd place, and there's your winner, folks, in the big cars. That's Kenny West out of Athens in the 29-17. Crawling out of his slightly used automobile is the 117 drivers, Roger Rafferty out of Wellston. He's going to go away in second place and third place. They're walking over to the 771. Tom Coy out of the Plains, sponsored by Landot. Big congratulations. And Carter Smith's in the 327 out of Patriot, sponsored by King Cutter 2. The 24X, Rod Brown out of Wellston, sponsored by John's Buy, Sell, and Trade. Here comes Josh Cohen in the J1. He's here out of Nelsonville, sponsored by Muffler Express. There comes Tom McDaniel out of Nelsonville, sponsored by Muffler Express and Richland Avenue Auto. I believe that's Cody Hudnall out of Shade in the 17H. Following him is the 4. Now it's sponsored by the Lucky Dog in the 17H. The 4B, Brian Gould out of Athens, sponsored by Gould Motorsports. The 11X, Tony Miller out of Gloucester. The 99B, Dustin Buckley out of Gloucester, sponsored by Richland Auto and Huddle Tire. 11X, Tony Miller was sponsored by Williams Customs. Okay, we're waiting on the 17J, the U8I, and the 98. So that's going to be the U81 of Bobby Anderson out of Guysville, sponsored by McGrath Paint. 4, 3, 2, 1, let them go. And right now, the mini car main event is underway and going strong here at the Smash It, Crash It, Tear 'em Up Automobile Demolition Derby. Going to be rounding out tonight's festivities at your 2010 Athens County Fair, and the track is getting split up. Half going one way, half the other, and it looks like the 4B, Brian Gould, threading the needle, and he's going to get the little squeeze play put on him between the J1 of Josh Cohen and the U81 of Bobby Anderson out of Guysville. They're coming down the line, side by side, the 24X of Rod Brown and the J1 of Josh Cohen out of Nelsonville. Josh going back to back with the number 327 of Carter Smith out of Patriot. Looks like the 4B's kind of hanging out on his own. Brian Gould out of Athens right now trying to refire the 4B machine, keeping on the timer. The 11X momentarily getting hung up. That's Tony Miller out of Gloucester. He's up on the rear trunk deck of the number 327 of Carter Smith. Right now, the 24X is stalled out. Rod Brown, that didn't last long. Rod's got her going and goes into the back of the number 4B. And doggone it, looks like we have a couple of them that have a rough way to go in the early going of the big money round. I believe one of those is going to be the 17H of Cody Hudnall. He's down there sitting, and the other one that I don't see any movement out of is Bobby Anderson in the U81. So right now, everybody else looks like they're running strong, including the 23M Tom McDaniel out of Nelsonville. going back-to-back with the number 4B of Brian Gould out of Athens. Brian momentarily stalled that black machine out, but he's got her going once again, and the 4B is back in contention. Only problem is, looks like he's got a lot of smoke coming off the rear tire. It looks like something's rubbing in there. Hopefully his drive tires won't go flat. Right now, the number 99B, Dustin Buckley out of Gloucester. Going down to the far end, he's side by side with the J1 of Josh Cohen. And in comes the 11X. That's Tony Miller in that 11X, making contact with the number 23M, Tom McDaniel. Hold them up, hold them up, hold them up. They're ready to turn them loose and let them go. Get the action back underway. The bombs are ready to run. And the 11X already, Tony Miller coming down, blowing one heck of a donut, and going to nose into the 23M of Tom McDaniel. Right now, these guys have a 50-50 shot of getting into the big money round. Half of them are going to walk away with some cash and a trophy tonight. The other half are going to go away empty-handed. I have to see right now that 24M is on a roll. Tom McDaniel kind of muscling his way down there. And what do you know, the 11X, Tony Miller going for a bit of a wild ride, courtesy of the number 4B, Brian Gould out of Athens. Brian has that kind of a ramp built on the back of that. I don't think he was going to get ramped this time. That 24X of Rod Brown, those bumpers matched up perfectly, and that was a pretty solid hit between Brian Gould and the 24X of Rod Brown. Looks like the 23M wants in on this action right now. Tom McDaniel kind of motoring in to the nose of the number 4B. The J1 still running strong. Josh Cohen. Nothing to be concerned about right yet. That is just a little bit of extra fuel. Some of the unburnt fuel on that number 4B. It's coming out of the exhaust pipe. Luckily for the time being. Hopefully we won't see any more flames dancing out there. Hopefully if he can get that thing fired up, it's going to lean right out. Get that fire burnt. Sounds like, I think he's got her going. And doggone it, what do you know? The 24X is right there to greet him. What do you think? Almost hitting the fellow when he's down. But it looks like Brian Gould in the 4B is still running strong, even considering he took a shot from the number 24X. That 24X now sharing the wealth. He's going after Tom McDaniel in the number 23M. 99B slipping around Dustin Buckley. Dustin's currently side by side with Josh Cohen out of Nelsonville. Those two red cars chasing one another around, and it looks like Brian Gould, now he's running a little rich. He just doesn't have the flames dancing out there. He's got her going, I think. Yep, Brian's back underway. He's going to take a shot in the side of the nose from the J1 of Josh Cohen out of Nelsonville. Still 6 very strong running vehicles right now. These guys definitely take a licking and keep on ticking. Think about this the next time your car breaks down and leaves you stranded on the side of the road. These guys have been beating one another and beating one another. And look at this. My goodness gracious, he threw caution to the wind. That was Tom McDaniel in the 23M. He just kind of went on a bit of a mission right there and ran that 23M right smack dab into the rear bumper of Rod Brown's number 24X. doing quite a bit of damage. Right now, it doesn't look like the Tour B is having much luck. He's finding himself in that same precarious situation. Sitting there stalled out, trying to refire. Only problem with this thing is the longer these things go on, the harder it is for these things to start back. Got a lot of sparks flying out from underneath Tom McDaniel's 23M. Did quite a bit of damage to that as he went on that crazy ride attacking the 24X of Rod Brown. Like he's making yet another attempt, this time looking at it from a bit of a different angle. And slowing up just in the nick of time. That was driver's door of the J1 kind of came around into Rod Brown's 24X's target zone. Luckily, he was a bit of a swing and a miss. I think Rod Brown's looking to repay the favor on the 23M. 23M's dancing around next to the 11X of Tony Miller. And I'll tell you, there he goes again, folks. The 23M, I think now he's going to use the nose of that machine as a battering ram. As he already went after the 24X this time, it's Dustin Buckley in the 99B. Hold him up, hold him up. Hold him up, hold him up. $50. Second place, $400, and third place is $200. And the 99B, Dustin Buckley, out of Gloucester, sponsored by Richland Auto and Huddle Tire. The J1, Josh Cohen, out of Nelsonville, sponsored by the Muffler Express. And the 24X, Rod Brown, out of Wellston, sponsored by John Buy, Sell, and Trade. Referees telling to put a little distance in between yourself. Let's start hitting. And a little bit of a cat and mouse game going on right now between the 99B of Dustin Buckley and the 24X of Rod Brown. Looks like third place has been decided. That third place is going to go to the J1 of Josh Cohen out of Nelsonville, sponsored by the Muffler Express. I don't know if that's what Rod Brown wanted to do. 24X just kind of riding up the hind of that 99B. Dustin Buckley sitting there, and I think he was kind of expecting that car might go on up and over. And that's going to leave a mark on the 99B. Dustin Buckley trying to put a little bit of space in between him and Rod Brown. These little cars. And starting to get some sparks coming out from underneath the 99B. Now the 24X of Rod Brown momentarily stalled out. A clean hit. Like you got him in the front of the driver's door. And now I think these drivers are trying to figure out how to attack one another because, as you saw earlier, the front bumper of the 24X definitely a little bit higher than the rear bumper of the 99B. Guess these guys are going to turn it around and see what they can do. Oh, Mo's got him hooked up in underneath there. Dustin Buckley trying to attack that strategically, and I think he almost put the pop-up on the 24X of Rod Brown. Getting the referees telling them to put a little daylight between yourselves. It's like a couple pretty strong running cars and a couple fairly strong built cars. Looks like they're both doing well considering the amount of punishment and abuse that they've already received tonight. You guys had a wild time. Right now they're going to go nose to nose. And the steam is starting to pour out of the 99B. Dustin Buckley definitely getting a little bit warm. We can see some of the fluid spewing out from the overflow on the 24X of Rod Brown. These guys definitely starting to heat up here. It's been a long night for these drivers. Long night for these cars. And right now they're battling it out for basically a difference of $350. First place is $750, $750. Second place will go home with $400 tonight. And that was a solid hit. I'll tell you folks, neither one of them cars meant too much. And he had the rubber band wound up on the 24X. But it sounds like, I think we may be listening to that 99B. Dustin Buckley's engine sounds like she's getting a little bit tired. And a good clean hit as Rod Brown in the 24X is going for the nose of that 99B as best he can. You can see it's starting to really change shape, almost taking a look of an old Nash or something in the front end. Getting a little bit skinny up there. And that 99B definitely not running as strong as it once was. And he's now on the clock. The 24X of Rod Brown taking her down to the far end. And he's going to be seeing if time is going to be on the side of Dustin Buckley in the 99B. Rod Brown's not doing a whole lot. Of waiting around. He wants the Derby, and Rod's going to keep doing it. So he says, I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of this. I'm going to keep holding the hammer down and keep letting the hits fly. Up. Hold him up. Right there it is, folks, at the last moment. He waved it out. Let's give them both a big hand. These two guys drove one heck of a final in the mini car event, but it's going to be Rod Brown in the 24X going away with first place, but a very respectable second place for Dustin Buckley in the 99B. Again, Rod Brown's here out of Wellston, sponsored by John Buy, Sell, and Trade. The second place, Dustin Buckley in the 99B out of Gloucester, sponsored by Richland Auto and Huddle Tire. Again, third place is going to Josh Cohen in the J1 out of Nelsonville, sponsored by Muffler Express. Again, folks, looks like you got plenty of time to still get something to eat. Head out to the Midway, enjoy what little bit of time we got left. We do.